My mom and dad went to D.C., Washington. They had so much fun, and they did a lot of walking, and they saw this. They saw the moon go down, and they saw George Washington's house. Bye. I miss my mommy and daddy, and I miss them all much. I'm glad I had so much fun. And Jonah and Julia spent time with all our grandparents. I was on my best behavior, and I was a big girl. Mommy and Daddy did a lot of walking. Mommy and Daddy got this plan all the time,
But then what happened? We found out that we were pregnant with Juliet.
Juliet.
And we had to cancel the trip. That was in 2020.
2020.
And then COVID hit. And then now, in 2024, we're finally able to take the DC trip.
Yay! I was worth the wait. Mommy and Daddy did a lot of fun things that they want to tell you right now in this video. Good job.
So we did a lot in our week in DC in 2024. First, we left on Friday night right after work and drove a very long time close to Monticello. And then the next morning we woke up and got to tour Jefferson's Monticello. So that's the first video footage here.
So we got here around 8:50. Couple of notes I had was Jefferson's dad died when he was 14 years old. His dad was a map surveyor, and his dad owned a bunch of land. So at the age of 21, he basically took over the plantation. And I can't remember how many slaves and how many acres exactly, but it was a lot. Let's see.
He died in the room, in his bedroom.
Yep.
And he had a statue of John Adams in his office next to his bed.
Yeah. A lot of the architecture and design of the house, I mean, it was exquisite detail. I mean, door hinges, clocks, skylights, the use of all the space around the clock. Had a built-in wine distributor thing inside from the cellar down below up to the dining room up above. A lot of really cool details. When he died, I didn't know this, but when he died, he was in really deep debt, like $3 million worth of today's dollars.
And he sold a lot of his books to get more money.
Yeah. Let's see.
And there was a statue of Hamilton right across from his when you first walk in.
There was a lot of really cool stories of some of the notable slaves that were on the plantation. John Hemmings, Burl Colbert, Priscilla Hemings.
He spoke 6 languages and could read and write in 6 languages.
He traveled a lot. I feel like he was a really disciplined person. He did a lot of writing and stuff in the morning, so he'd have a lot of time in the afternoon to walk around. He was a gardener. He didn't really garden. I mean, the slaves did all the hard work, but he was interested in new things and how everything worked.
And he was only married for 10 years, and then his wife passed away, I think, in childbirth or complications from childbirth. And he lost how many of his kids? All but 2?
Yeah.
5.
Or 6, yeah.
And so his daughter came and lived with him. His wife made him promise never to marry him again.
And he didn't.
His daughter served as first lady in the White House. And on his tombstone, he didn't put President of the United States.
Yeah, he just wanted to be remembered for
The
University of Virginia.
Which
and
declaration?
the Declaration.
And these are all facts.
So this was a really good Thomas Jefferson actor. We took a quick tour around the plantation, and then we stumbled upon him after he started his talking, and we didn't realize we weren't supposed to be recording. So you'll see at the end of this, he calls James out for it, and James has to delete the footage. But we did figure out how to get to our deleted footage on our phone. So here it is.
I hope you saw as you walk in, there's a very large bust to me on the right. But if you look to the, I'm not very pleased with it. It was a gift. But if you look to the left, you'll see a very finely cut bust of General Hamilton. When many come in and see that, they're rather startled. Yes, and if I'm present, I'll simply say there the two of us will gaze across at one and the other in opposition throughout death as we have been in life.
Busted. So after Monticello, we left and drove about maybe an hour, and finally this is our first view of DC, driving in. And at first I thought we'll just drive around and see DC, but it was too much traffic, so instead we went to
Go to
Walmart.
We do a Wally run. Oh, how are we supposed to get in? What do they do with the buggies in DC?
After surviving the long lines at Walmart and the fun way that you get your buggy down at Walmart, we saw a live protest on the way back into our hotel. Then we got back to our parking and walked a very long way with a lot of groceries to our hotel, went to bed early so we can get up early for the Easter sunrise at the Lincoln Memorial, which was probably one of my favorite parts.
Got up at 5 a.m. Easter sunrise.
Oh, look up the stairs.
People on the stairs.
So we heard a sermon from Mark Batterson, who wrote The Circle Maker and Praying Circles Around Your Children, one of our favorite books. He has a megachurch out in DC. And then we got to walk straight up to the Lincoln Memorial, which was pretty awesome.
18 steps from the Lincoln Memorial, where the I Have a Dream speech was. Do you want me to picture?
Oh, yeah, you don't mind.
It's right here.
Right here.
18.
All right. Right here. That's where he gave a speech.
So after standing on the exact steps that MLK gave his I Have a Dream speech, we walked, not quite this fast, but we walked to the Washington Monument, drank our energy drinks, got to see some of the other memorials. We were unable to get tickets to the top of the Washington Monument. We kept hearing that the post office view was just as good, but we didn't make it there either. So maybe next time. It's quite tall. You have to stand in line really, really early for a couple hours or get advance tickets months ahead of time.
Tall.
So the White House is not very white.
So this is the real White House. We were a little confused and thought the Treasury Building was the White House at first. So it was Easter weekend, and they were getting ready for their Easter roll celebration. So this is the backside. You can see their decorations. And we were very impressed with the White House Visitor Center and spent a lot of time in there and learned a lot.
Desk that.
Woodrow Wilson sat at when he signed a document declaring war on Germany on April 6th, 1917.
So after the White House Visitor Center, we headed to the Museum of the Bible, and it was not very crowded at all. For some reason, we were thinking on Easter it would be. So this is the first, a printing press. This is kind of a mock-up of what, Jesus's land times would have looked like. Beautiful decorations. They had a really neat interactive walk through Hebrew Bible experience. That was my favorite part. And then after the Museum of the Bible, we figured out the metro for the first time, and then went to bed and woke up early the next day and headed to our tour of the Capitol.
There it is. Stay tuned.
It is Monday morning. We got off at Union Station and heading to our Capitol tour. All right, let's go in.
So the Capitol tour was really neat. They gave us all headphones, and that way we could hear our speaker because there were lots of tours going on. We got to see the rotunda, all the canvases, a lot of sculptures, and we got to walk by the Speaker of the House office. And then we came back later this week to tour the chambers because we didn't have tickets and to see the museum. So this was a very quick tour. So this was a pretty big day that we had planned because we had tickets to the Ford Theater. So we left and tried to squeeze in the National Archives, which is where we are here, and which we got to walk straight up to the Declaration of Independence. Just walk right up to these documents and see the originals, which was really neat.
This letter to the Secretary of State. Ain't it the mother? That's them like. Bill of Rights. Revisions to the House proposed amendments. Just walk through the Constitution. So this is the Declaration of Independence.
It's ever been traced over? No. Nobody's ever been.
National Archives. You saw the Declaration of Independence there, Constitution, Bill of Rights. Declaration of Independence. National Archives.
So we had about 30 minutes to kill before our Ford Theater tour. So we went to the National Portrait Gallery. Really wasn't too impressed. The president portraits were cool, but other than that, we're not really art people. So here we are at the Ford Theater. This was probably my favorite thing that we did was listen to the park ranger and hear about the night that Lincoln was assassinated.
Blood drawn with the lash shall be paid for by another.
It was a really surreal just to be able to walk up to where he was assassinated and hear about how John Wilkes Booth jumped down and what happened to John Wilkes Booth after that. Here's the house right across the street, the Peterson House. This is where Mary waited while by his bedside while he was recovering from his injuries. And you can see the pictures of the riot that broke out that night, April 14th, 1865. And then kind of walk around and see the bed that he actually ended up dying on. Really interesting story. Learned a lot of new facts we didn't already know.
Can we? No. Oh, this is.
Okay. In this room. This is the room that he died in. 7:22 a.m. April 15th, 1865. Yeah, look, there's the bed and here's the doorway and there's the stairs. Wow.
That's the actual bed.
I mean, his feet.
All the books written about Lincoln.
So after the Ford Theater, we were able to walk around to the Jefferson Monument. Beautiful scenery. The cherry blossoms were still in view, so the weather was great and got to get some good shots with the cherry blossoms in the background.
All right, hey! Jefferson Memorial. Tidal basin.
You can see this couple getting wedding pictures right there behind James's head.
the cherry blossom.
We're in DC.
So then we walked back to our hotel, had something to eat, and then I think this is the night we wandered off to a bar that one of our friends recommended and had some drinks and some onion rings, and then went to bed to get ready for the FBI Museum and the Spy Museum the next day.
Up a little later today, made some omelets, got to tour the FBI building.
The FBI building was really cool, but now we're off to the Spy Museum. Lots to see here as well. We were hungry, so we were able to leave the Spy Museum, go down to the wharf, get some really yummy fish and chips, and then head back to the Spy Museum, do the Bond in motion, see all the cool cars, and stay at the Spy Museum till late, and then went back to our hotel in the rain and was able to ride the metro to save some time. So these are just some videos of all the Bond cars. James was really excited about this exhibit. The Spy Museum overall was really neat. There was a lot of information that I wish our brains had more room for, but it was a lot of fun.
From the Diamonds Are Forever. Touch the... Pretty cool exhibit.
Using espionage techniques like dead drops, secret code.
Will Ferrell.
She signals to a waiting booster.
So you also get a badge, and you're given a mission.
So do you see a camera?
And while you go through...
We can understand how an attack happened. Well, this will help us understand the geopolitical context of the machines. Today, the internet is merging those two activities.
It's cool to get the projector facing out.
So back on the metro to head back to the hotel and get ready for the next day, which is going to be the Smithsonian Day with the Museum of Natural History, which is where we are here now, and then the Museum of American History. So this is the natural history. We didn't spend as much time here as I thought. We liked the American history one better, actually, but this was still a pretty neat exhibit, museum.
Natural history.
And what you'll see right here, these blue tubes, that was an actual real-life working fossil lab. All right, Drew, I'm thinking about you. How long would this mount take you? The animal mounts were so impressive, especially this one coming up right here.
Nice. A giant spider.
Look at this one. Ooh, look, it's like attacking that one.
What's it doing?
So once we finished the Smithsonian Natural History, we went right next door to the Smithsonian American History. And this was probably one of my favorite museums that we went to, just because of the amazing history. Here's Lincoln's hat that he was actually wearing the night that he was assassinated. Those are locks of hair from each of the presidents.
Oh, was it 1919?
An actual ballot box that was used in one of the elections. I mean, the history here was just unreal. This was a sunk battleship. George Washington's tassels. And we actually got to see a real presidential, I think this was Kamala Harris, vice president motorcade that we saw on the way to Immigrant Food, which was a really nice restaurant that we went to right across the street from the White House. It was a nice surprise. We didn't plan it. We just had a couple of bites to eat before we went to the Old Ebit Grill, which is right here. And this is the oldest saloon in Washington. It was founded in 1856 by William E. Ebit. And we had a wonderful evening, great food, and it was so fun. Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, we are heading out to the home of George Washington in Mount Vernon. We're on Constitution Avenue, 2000. There's the Lincoln Memorial right through those trees up there on the left. We're getting ready to take a left on Henry Bacon Drive. Driving in DC. It ain't for the faint of heart. So a short 20-minute drive southwest of DC is Mount Vernon. And this was a wonderful visit. There's Washington's tomb right there. There was very detailed directions on how he wanted to be buried, the materials that were to be used, the location of the tomb. Washington had all that documented before he died in 1799. This was the dock just outside of the plantation. And this is a working area that showed what life was like and all the work that went into maintaining the plantation. So it was an absolutely beautiful day to go visit this area, and we really enjoyed learning all about this house.
Mount Vernon, George Washington's house.
We're at Washington's estate. So what did you learn, babe?
That he would dye his hair with food to make it white, and he was a redhead, just like Thomas Jefferson.
In 1798, they had over 670 guests come and stay here in the house, which is insane to think about. They had 5 rooms upstairs, and they would always have guests come in and stay.
We got to see the room where he died.
Yeah,
of a
the
throat
original bed
infection.
frame. Incredible. Which is right there, in that room right there. That was his bedroom. So after the Mount Vernon visit, we went right back up to DC to Arlington National Cemetery, and this was definitely a very moving experience for both of us. We got to watch the changing of the guards and spend a little bit of time at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This was extremely emotional for me to know that this space has been guarded since 1937, 24/7, day, night, no matter the weather, no matter what's been going on. That to me is just absolutely incredible, the amount of discipline, and to actually learn how much detail goes into every step, into every movement, into the placement of the pendants on their uniforms. It's the amount of respect that's given to the fallen is it's just so moving. We also learned the significance of 21 in reference to the 21 gun salute. So each step, each movement, each direction of face is done for 21 seconds. So 21 steps in one direction, turn, face forward for 21 seconds. And they just repeat that over and over and over again until the guard change ceremony begins. After we watched the changing of the guards, we walked over to JFK's tomb, and right up there at the top of the hill, you saw Robert E. Lee's house, which we went up to tour. Here's the top of the hill. This is Robert E. Lee's house.
So who is that?
The grandfather, Paul de Vondel Chaudron, 1910. So after we went to Arlington, we drove back to the house and took a tour through Georgetown down N Street, which was really cool. And this is where we met a group for a Lincoln assassination tour. Ford's Theater. In this theater on, when was it?
1800.
April 14th, 1865.
Lincoln got assassinated at Ford's Theater. And then right there,
in the Petersons'
that
house,
red building is
he
where
passed away
he was
at
taken
7:22
to, and he died
a.m. on
in the
April
back
15th.
room. Right over there. Crazy. Ford's Theater.
Checking our phones underneath the Ford Theater.
Then on Friday morning, we went to the U.S. Representatives Building to get passes to the Chambers House.
We are in the
Senate.
Library of Congress.
And it was cool too. We walked underground tunnel to the Library of Congress, which was neat. This building was absolutely incredible. I mean, the amount of detail and the amount of knowledge inside books in this building is overwhelming. This is the office of the Library of Congress. Very cool. I liked this video. This is from the second floor of the Library of Congress. It kind of shows the proximity. You can see the Washington Monument there in the background, the U.S. Capitol, and kind of the size and just the impressive, detailed nature of the Library of Congress. Just on the other side of that wall, that I'll zoom into here in a second, is the actual library. So all of this room right here is just outside in front of it. One of the side rooms of the Library of Congress displays the personal collection of Thomas Jefferson. This is over 6,000 of his volumes. It was at the time, which was back in 1815, this was the largest private collection of its time. And Jefferson's collection really laid the foundation for the Library of Congress to help it become what it is today. The most impressive thing for me was just the number of diverse books that were in here, which really just highlighted his commitment to education and knowledge. It was just really neat to see.
Library of Congress. And the Capitol. Walking down the stairs. Supreme Court stairs.
So after we went to the Library of Congress, we went right across the street to the Supreme Court, and we actually sat in the courtroom and listened to one of the workers talk about the history and how everything worked. It was a lot smaller than what we thought it would be. So after we exited the Supreme Court, we tried to get back in the Library of Congress to actually go down on the floor. We didn't know if they'd let us back in or not, but we were pleasantly surprised that they did. There were specific times and windows that you could actually go in, and the line was extremely long, so we were glad we were able to actually fit this part into our vacation. Absolutely stunning.
Where the president is inaugurated.
So then we hightailed it over to the Holocaust Museum, which we actually got a couple of tickets, and it's by far the most somber museum experience we had all week.
It is, 8:30-ish? on Friday, the 5th of April. So last night we are here in DC. Say, hey, what's up, babe?
Hey.
It's kind of dark.
Yeah.
But we are walking by the White House in DC. Today was an amazing day. We had passes. We went to the congressional building and got our House passes and Senate passes to go see the House of Representatives and the Senate. Went to the Holocaust Museum. DC is amazing. So we are right here in front of the most powerful building in the country. Right here, the White House. Incredible. Dun, 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 dun. At this point in the trip, Joni and I are absolutely exhausted. We have walked over we walked over 75 miles, I think, over the 7 days we were there. Our brains are absolute mush from all the information that we were trying to absorb, so we're just having fun and being silly. This was such an awesome vacation. We talked a lot about how much we miss the kids and just how blessed we feel we are.
It's our last night here. Monuments Night Tour. We saw the White House at night. Now we're walking from the Washington Monument to Lincoln Memorial.
Bye, DC. Bye, Honest Abe. See you later, apartment.
Bye, apartment. Such a good location.
Yeah.
Daddy, when are you gonna take us to DC?
It's really shaky.